Hello, everybody. It is your professor, Rocco, your boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this AoS General class, we will be continuing our trend and talking about mistakes that I noticed in different phases and how to correct them. And this one is how to avoid a calamitous charge phase. I don't think we'll actually have that as the title, but hey, you know what? Charge phase problems. So here we go. First things first. This is kind of a shooting phase thing, but it really affects the charge phase. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people that have like a mixed arms army or they have a lot of shooting and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to soften up the unit before I charge it cuz, my melee's not that great." And they either A, shoot the unit dead so there's nothing to charge and then they lose the objective because they needed to charge onto the objective to score, or B, they shoot just enough models off and don't realize that your opponent can pull models from anywhere in the unit. So they pull off just enough to make the charge harder, and then they fail by an inch because those models are gone. So for the charge phase, I need you to think ahead and remember that the charge phase is there and don't shoot away your charge target. Okay? Great. So that's the first thing, dear student. My second thing is people when they play Age of Sigmar, they're like, "Oh, this is the melee game. I'm gonna get bloodthirsty, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, wog out, all the greatest hits." And they charge their whole army up, and they forget that a lot of this is strategy. Yes, you're killing me, Smalls. Just stretch out there. So what's so bad about being so bloodthirsty in a game that's normally melee heavy? People will sometimes just pick fights they don't need to pick. And what do I mean by that? I have a rule that I like teaching on here. It's gone through a couple different names. But for me, it's the basic principle when I'm charging of the 1 and the 3 principle. Again, I'm liking this name a bit more because it's just very basic of Rocco's charging rules. Either charge 1 unit or charge 3 units. Unless there's an edge case where you have the ability to have all of your stuff activate in the combat phase later, or like if you're Lumineth and you get to choose 2 units to activate at a time, or if you're Deepkin where your whole army just goes. What happens when we're just doing simple charging math and all kinds of things here? The charger generally gets to activate their units. They choose 1, opponent chooses 1. You choose 1, opponent chooses 1. And it's one of those things where that is great and why I like Age of Sigmar. It makes you have to make choices. When I'm charging, if I'm just charging in 2 units of my army, right? The onus is on me to make the tough decision of, well, which one of my units can take the hit back? And that could let me accidentally make a bad choice for my army. It's okay, do I clear for fight for this objective? Oh, I really need my other hammer unit to survive long enough to clear something else on the other side of the board. Which one do I pick? So I like doing it either I just charged in 1 unit, I know what I'm fighting, and I'm just going to hit it, or I'm going to charge in 3 units where I will be able to have 2 combats before my opponent does. You know, I go, they go, then I go. In that case, I take the one very blatantly obvious. I need this combat to happen, right? I need to secure my battle tactic. It's the one where the general has to, this one's mine. My general has to slay a unit. I've called my shot. General goes first. Great. And then it's on my opponent. Well, which unit do they want to save? They get to make the tough decision. The pressure's off me. I sent 2 units that are equally able to kill you. You have to decide, oh man, which unit's more important to try to go with first. I don't know. And it just makes the decision your opponent's choice, not yours, because you already made it. You're like, yeah, I'm throwing in 3 units. I have the one easy and the other one's, it could go either way. Make it go either way, opponent. And just psych them out with that little bit. And then another little, this is a little, two little things. Because one just came to me. Screw the script. The first one is when you are charging in Age of Sigmar, you just say, hey, my unit of Blood Knights is going to charge, and then you roll to see how far they could possibly go. You do not have to declare a target, and if you don't like the charge roll, you do not have to take it. Okay? The command ability Unleash Hell happens when your unit finishes the charge move. This isn't 40k where it happens in the beginning. You pick your unit and then roll to see if they can even make a charge. Do not tell your opponent where you want to go, because you do not need to do that yet. If you do that too early, you will give away your grandmaster plan that you've been cranking through all this series and watching all of our videos here. And then once your opponent realizes what unit of theirs you're prioritizing to kill, they will act accordingly and defend them. They will act accordingly and reinforce objectives. Don't give away your plan. And also, I want to talk about Unleash Hell, because this is something that just gets me. Because yes, it's very good. It's only, you spend the command point at the, when the enemy unit is finished its charge move, that means they get to do impact hits first. But you spend it, and then you're -1 to hit them. That's so much better than 40k's version, and everyone freaks out that, 40k's version is weak or whatever. Age of Sigmar here. This is why I will build in screening units of mine. Cheap chaff. You hear these terms thrown throughout my videos, more popular talking heads. We need to just have a talk about why I love Aether Wings in my Deepkin army. They move 12 inches, they fly, and I don't care if they die. If my opponent has, let's say, a 30 block of Lumineth Sentinels. Everybody hates Sentinels. If you listen to the internet, I love them. I think they're a great unit. But people are jealous of their potential, right? Unleash Hell happens when you first charge into them. If the unit is already engaged with one of yours, they can't do it again. So I have my birds fly up alongside my turtle, my sharks, whatever. They'll charge in first, take the shots of 30 sentinels, unleashing hell, searing bolts on 5 up, do mortal wound, arrows, shoot all my birds down, right? And then that's it. That's literally it. Then I charge in, destroy the unit, life is great. It actually just this past weekend, I played a game with a friend that's local, and I had a unit of 20 Namarti Reavers, where my opponent was looking to try to find a way to clear out my backline and kill threats, and they were worried that the Unleash Hell would have taken out their hammer units. It was a Leech Cavalos, and what was barely limping of a unit of Cav for them. And the unit of Cav only had 2 models. It was 1.5 dead. What he could have done is triggered the Unleash Hell with the cavalry units and then sent his hero in. That was the named Leech Cavalos. That would have probably killed at least half of the archer unit and then not die in return. And instead, he got spooked that I could unleash hell and charged off to fight one of my wounded sharks. So this last tip is don't be afraid of Unleash Hell when you have the tools to deal with it, even if you don't realize it. If one of your units is like almost dead, you've got I'm gonna go and say a chain Rasport unit, right? It used to be 30, now it's down to 5 dudes, 5 ghosty boys and gals just running, and you still have a block of 20 Bladegeist Revenants, right? Send in the chain rasps first. Let them eat the punishment, then send the Bladegeist in. It's being focused on how the battle currently is and not the grand plan, but also knowing that in the charge phase, there are ways to make your opponent just waste a command point. Or force them to be like, okay, if you spend this now, that means you're going to be out on the combat phase, and you won't be able to all-out attack or all-out defense. Do you really want to kill 3 Aether Wings? The answer is no. No, you don't. They don't have an armor save in this edition. They just die. They're 2 wounds each. 3 birds. I love mine to death in a unit. 3 birds in a unit. I bring 2 units in my Deepkin. Amazing screens. They die so well for the rest of my army. Also works for my Stormcast. They're great allies for anyone that can ally in Stormcast in order. They're fantastic. And they come into play in this charge phase for all of the reasons that we've mentioned here. Because, again, to recap, you don't want to shoot away the thing that you're trying to charge. And again, if they're not there, my Aether Wings can't charge in and steal the objective. Stop being so bloodthirsty, people. And this is one of the things where, like, cool, if I'm charging in 3 units, and it's the Aether Wings to eat something for an Unleash Hell, I don't even count those as my actual charges. That's just a thing that happens. If they live, they live. If he dies, he dies. My actual units that I care about are either I'm gonna send in 1 unit after them, or I'm gonna charge 3 things in my army, so I have the actual activations I want. I don't count my screens and my chaff. If they get damaged, great, but they are the very last thing that would be activating anyway, and I don't care about them. It's my turtle, it's my Achillean King, and it's a unit of Namarti Thralls that are buffed up to just murder, right? Those are my 3 things. The Aether Wings, I don't care. And either I'm sending in those so that my Achillean King or my turtle can go first into a priority target, or maybe I want the Namarti to go in first because they can't really take a hit back. While my king is giving out a -1 to be hit aura, and my turtle's on a 2-up save anyway. You probably hear a good amount of rain coming through because we're just having a thunderstorm just come in. Actually really cool. I love all these thunderstorms. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, along with you, if you've watched this series, from the list building and everything else, we've built in ways to deal with Unleash Hell. You do not need to be afraid of Unleash Hell. And seriously, stop being so bloodthirsty. Stop sending your whole army, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to charge off an objective by accident. Didn't realize that you only claimed them at the end of your turn during the Battle Shock phase. You're like, oh yeah, I totally did that. Or even worse, you charge in and allow your opponent to pile in and outnumber you on the objective because you're just not that good at fighting with that unit. They're like, yeah, man, it's the charge phase. I just want to charge, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to class today. Like, subscribe. There's no secret words to say in the chat. Maybe there is. Potato. It's a joke, don't worry. If you've been here long enough, you'll get it. If not, I giggled, and that's what's really important. And we'll see you next time we come to class. And as I like to say at the end of all of our videos, class dismissed. Bye.